Right now, you can close a door. You can sit in a room by yourself. No one watching, no one listening. For nearly all of human history, that was impossible. Not rare, not difficult, impossible. There was one thing ancient humans never did alone. Not once. Not ever. They were never truly by themselves. And the moment they lost that, something in the human body started breaking. Let's start with the obvious guess. You might think it's dying. It's not. People died in groups too, surrounded, watched, held. The thing ancient humans never did alone was simpler than that. They never slept alone. Not children, not adults, not even the tribe's most feared warrior. For 300,000 years, sleep was a group activity, bodies packed together around a fire, skin against skin, breath against breath. Anthropologists studying the Hadza of Tanzania found something striking. Solo sleep barely exists in their culture. Even adults sleep in clusters, several bodies deep. Children sleep pressed against multiple adults, not just parents. This wasn't comfort, this was survival math. A lone sleeper in the dark was a lone target. Big cats hunt at night. Hyenas hunt at night. Every predator that shaped human evolution hunts at night. A body alone in the dark had no eyes on its back. So groups slept in piles. Literally piles. Anthropologist James McKenna spent decades studying this. He found that solitary infant sleep, the norm in Western nations today, is a historical outlier. For most of human existence, babies slept touching an adult all night, every night, not in a crib, not in another room. Skin to skin, breath syncing with breath. McKenna's research found something the parenting books don't mention. Infants sleeping alone show different breathing patterns, less stable, more irregular. Infants sleeping against an adult chest often synchronize their breathing to the adult's rhythm. Their heart rate stabilizes. Their temperature stabilizes. The proximity wasn't sentimental, it was regulatory. One body was quietly running life support for another. Now here's the part that gets stranger. This wasn't just infants. Adults regulated each other the same way. Sleep researchers call it co-regulation. Two nervous systems side by side, calming each other without either person doing anything at all. Modern sleep labs have measured it. Couples who sleep together show synchronized brainwave patterns during the night. Not identical, but linked. One partner's deep sleep cycles influence the other's. Separate the pair, and both sleep worse. Heart rate variability drops. Cortisol, the stress hormone, creeps up. The body seems to know when it's unguarded, and it never fully relaxes. Ancient humans built their entire nightly architecture around never testing that. The sleeping circle wasn't random. Elders and children slept toward the center. The warmest, safest position. The strongest adults slept at the edges, closest to the dark, living shields, chosen every single night. This is where the twist comes in. Anthropologist Carol Worthman studied sleep across dozens of traditional societies. She found something almost every modern sleep study misses. In group sleeping cultures, insomnia is rare, startlingly rare, not absent but far below Western rates. People wake briefly throughout the night, just like Vare's isolated volunteers in the darkness experiments. But they don't lie there anxious. Someone is always breathing nearby. Someone is always there. The nervous system, built over hundreds of thousands of years, seems to expect that presence. When it's missing, something subtle goes wrong. Modern researchers have a name for the opposite state. They call it sleep onset insecurity. It's the racing mind you get lying alone in the dark. Some scientists now think it isn't a personal flaw. They think it's an ancient alarm system. A body-level recognition that being unwatched in the dark for nearly all of human history meant something had gone wrong. Your ancestors who felt calm sleeping alone in the open didn't get to become your ancestors. The anxious ones did. The ones who couldn't settle without someone nearby survived long enough to pass that wiring forward. So, if you've ever lain awake at 2 a.m., heart quietly racing for no clear reason, that might not be modern stress. That might be 300,000 years of instinct misfiring in an empty room. Now here's where it gets even bigger than sleep. The same pattern shows up almost everywhere in ancient daily life. Eating alone was rare. Meals were communal, shared around a fire, food distributed by social rules that bound the group together. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies have found that solitary eating was sometimes treated as suspicious, even shameful. Hoarding food and eating it alone broke the unwritten contract that kept everyone fed during lean seasons. Working alone was rare too. Hunting, gathering, tool making, child rearing, almost none of it happened in isolation. Even grief was communal. Mourning rituals pulled the whole group in, structured wailing, shared silence, collective ritual. Nobody processed loss by themselves in a quiet room. There wasn't a quiet room, there wasn't a self separate enough from the group to have one. This is the deeper twist historians keep circling back to. The modern idea of alone time, as restorative, as healthy, as something you need, is startlingly new. For most of history, prolonged solitude wasn't peaceful. It was a punishment. Ancient Greek and Roman societies used exile, being cast out from the group, as one of the harshest sentences available, worse than many forms of physical punishment, because a human outside the group in the ancient world usually didn't survive long. Solitary confinement, still used today, was designed centuries later as a deliberate psychological weapon. Isolate a person completely, and the mind starts to fray. Hallucinations, anxiety spikes. A collapse of stable thought. Researchers studying modern solitary confinement describe symptoms that look almost identical across totally different people, in totally different prisons, in totally different eras. The human brain, it turns out, was never built to run alone for long. It was built with someone else's nervous system leaning against it. Which brings us back to right now. Tonight, most people reading this will sleep in a room by themselves, behind a closed door, in total silence. No fire, no circle, no other breathing body regulating theirs through the dark. For the first time in the entire history of our species, being alone at night is the default, not the emergency. And your body, quietly, still hasn't caught up. That tight feeling before sleep, that instinct to check the lock twice, that relief when a phone lights up at 1 a.m. with someone else's name on it. None of that is weakness. It's an ancient system doing exactly what it was built to do, reaching for a presence that, for nearly the entire history of our species, was never supposed to be missing. Ancient humans never slept alone, they never ate alone, they never mourned alone, they never, in any meaningful sense, faced the dark by themselves. You do it almost every single night, and somewhere underneath all your modern comfort, an old and patient part of your brain is still listening for footsteps that used to always be there.